Hello and welcome to another episode of FEMPIRE Builders. Your host here, Michelle Hext. Today's episode is going to be around content reach, and I want to talk with you about, I guess, probably what you've noticed, specifically on Facebook for me at least. I had a Frank Kern post go through my feed sometime last week where he mentioned that, Meta are really drilling down on scanning your content and seeing that the quality of content that you're creating is up to scratch. And that if people are liking and enjoying your content, it's taking note of that and sending more content their way. Well, kind of I think it's always worked that way. But I have found like a number of people speaking about that. And just this morning, somebody that I'm in a group with created a screenshot of a message that she received from Meta where it basically said, this is great, the content that you're creating, we're pushing out into the feed. And if you keep creating more of this content, it means that people want to see it. And she was basically saying, my reach hasn't improved at all. And so there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. And I know that potentially for you too, you would have noticed that anything that you post on your Facebook feed is going completely ignored. Nobody's seeing it. And you might feel like it's just you. I've been testing and it's like, let's just play around with a few different types of posts, and anything that's to do with business or anything that's not meta related just does not get seen. I don't get a single like. I don't get a single comment. It's like it's hiding that content. And that is frustrating as hell, right? Super frustrating. But it also brings me back to what I've been saying for a very long time now, is that you need to pay to play. So that's the first thing, right? If you want people to see your stuff, here's the thing, right? If you're using your profile for business, that may have worked once upon a time. It did for me. It doesn't work anymore. So I am really being forced to use my Facebook business page, which is, I've had to start that again because my old page, long story short, I can't use my old page for ads anymore. So I've had to create a new business page, and it's just a bit of a shit show, right? So there's like 100 followers or something. So it doesn't look ideal when you're marketing, but I've just got to roll with what I've got. But I guess for me, I loved the good old days where I could post anything and everything on my profile and things would get seen. Of course, we missed that, right? It was free marketing. But I'm also not going to complain about it, because who gets free marketing? We are business people. We're in business. And who gets free marketing in business? Nobody, right? If you're serious about the growth of your company and you are treating it like a company and not just a little side hustle that you don't want to invest money in to pay for people to see your stuff, then you'll never grow. That's the reality. And so while, it's frustrating and it's annoying and we wish it were different, it's not different. And now Meta are, by the looks of things, coming out and saying, basically, we're not showing anybody anything. But if you create something and people really like it and they continue to like it, we'll keep pushing things out. Even though from a stat perspective, it's not always looking like that is actually happening. So two things that I want to talk about in relation to this. The first thing is that if you want reach and you want to reach the right people, then you've got to pay to play, right? Inside of FEMPIRE Builders, I've got a masterclass called Paid Reach, or it's called the Paid Reach Masterclass, and it teaches you how you can spend just a couple of dollars a day to get 3, 4, 5,000 people seeing your brand. It's exposing your brand to all of those thousands of people for just a couple of dollars a day. So the reach that you wish you had now on your profile, you can actually achieve on your business page and on your Insta through spending a couple of dollars a day. A lot of people use this strategy. It's a good strategy. It gets your brand in front of people, and it doesn't cost very much at all. So you can continue to complain about the fact that nobody's seeing your content, or you can use Meta the way that it's designed, right? My profile is not for business. I mean, I'm a bit mad about it because I've always used it for business, but it's like, okay, cool. So I understand the rules. We're not using our profile for business anymore because Meta is kind of against it. That said, I am going to continue to test and test and test for the remainder of the year just to have a bit of a play. So I've done all of my testing now so that I know what I want to focus on when the calendar ticks into 2025. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that the quality of the content, if you want your content seen, if you're going to rely solely on organic, if you want your content to be seen, it's got to be good, right? And I'm not mad about that because there's been so much crap, right, on the internet, so much crappy, noisy stuff on the internet. And that's probably why we've come to this situation where it's like, well, we're not going to, push crap into people's news feeds that they don't want to see. And so if you want to continue to create content and create free content and get it pushed out into your news feed, it's going to have to be really good quality. And what that means to me is you're going to have to get really specific about the content that you want to create. And you're also going to have to get really specific about your niche and the topic that you want to speak, and really leaning into you being the expert in your space, because that is what's going to get the post seen. And I am not mad about that, because anything that forces us to narrow our focus even more and make sure that we are on point with the things that we create, I never think that's a bad thing, because what this is doing is making it easier for the people that see us fly through their news feed or not to suddenly pay attention to us, and they're like, oh, this is what this person does. Oh, what they're saying is really interesting. Oh, it's got my attention now. And so then they're going to start to see more and more and more of that content. So, two things. If we want a broader reach and we don't want to have to work that hard for that reach, then we just pay for it, right? We use the reach marketing campaigns. We spend a couple of dollars a day and we get our content pushed out into the feed, and we get to target who gets to see it, right? So that's one thing. On the flip side, if you want to go down the organic route, or if you want to just continue to go down that route and get that algorithm to work for you, it seems like you're going to have to really be super focused about what you're creating. And that means you have to be super focused on who am I and what am I here to do, and how can I articulate my value in the content that I'm creating, and continue to do that and do that consistently, and just keep at it, because it sounds like eventually you're going to get some cut through with that. And then if people like it and they start engaging with it, you're going to know, oh, people like this type of post, so I can go back and I can continue to create more of that, and then you're going to gain that organic reach back. That sounds like what's happening. So either way, it's not the end of the world. Yes, things have definitely changed online. Yes, it's definitely harder to get in front of people. But Meta is dangling us a little carrot now, and it's saying, what you've experienced is actually true. And now what we're going to do is reward you. If you create good quality content and people are liking that content and they're engaging with it, we're going to reward you by sending people your way and pushing that into the feeds of the people that we know are going to enjoy it. And then we're going to keep doing that. So I am going to get on my profile and I'm going to start testing that. I'm going to start testing super value driven posts and do that for the rest of the year, and just see if that gets the traction that I want. And then I'll be using paid reach for obviously my Instagram and my Facebook business page, because otherwise it's not getting seen. Like, we know that for business stuff, we really need to be pushing it out there. So let's not let it get us down. Let's not say, it's really frustrating that once upon a time my content was just out in the feed and everybody saw it and people were engaging. And yeah, we all want that, right? We all wish it was different. We all wish it was the way that it was. We can't change that. So we've got to work with what we've got. And what we've got is this little carrot that's saying, if you're really good at what you do and you go about presenting that in the right way and people are engaging with it, we're going to reward you by making sure people see more of that. And just see it as an invitation to get better at what you do, get better at communicating what you do, get better at communicating the value proposition, your value proposition, because the better you get at that, the better you're going to get across the board. There's no downside to that. There's no downside to improving the way that you communicate what it is that you do. And I think there's no and, right? There really is no and. I just think it's a really good opportunity. We know it. We know it's true now. They're saying it. And now we get to really go, okay, well, how can we make this work for me? And for me, I see it as a little challenge. I see it as, oh, okay, cool. So you're telling me that if I create content and a couple of people engage with it, you are going to be starting to look at my content and you're going to be paying attention, and then you're going to start to push it out into a few more people so that a few more people can see the next message, and it can start to snowball, right? And who knows, we may be able to create on our profiles the same type of engagement that we maybe had once upon a time, because we're committed and we've upped our game. So that's my take on it. And I feel like better quality content is always the answer. So rather than just be creating content on the fly without a lot of thought given to it, and then just kind of dumping it and then moving on and then creating more, I want you to consider not more, but better. Less but better. How can you create less but make sure it's super potent, super impactful, so that when it lands, people start to engage with it because they feel the energy behind it, and because it's just head and shoulders above the stuff that we're going to create on the fly, right? And then we get to go from there and build on that. Anyway, that is my take on it. And of course, for me, I am always investing in ads in the back end. If you want to know how to do any of those things inside of FEMPIRE, I have a whole section on paid traffic strategy. So there's micro offer sales campaigns, there's lead campaigns, there's the reach campaign. I've got a training in there called Metrics That Matter. So I teach you how to figure out if your ads are working or not, and when to basically turn them off or when to go back to the drawing board. And it's just a handful of metrics that you can look at, and in a few seconds you're going to be able to know, oh, okay, yeah, this is good, I'm going to keep this one running, or no, okay, cool, got to start this. You're going to know how to fix it, not just that your ads aren't working the way that you want them to or that they won't, and that there are ways that you can fix it, and I show you how to do that. So if you want all of that and more, then please come on into FEMPIRE. It is November the 25th as I create this training, this podcast. And over the weekend, I sat with the decision about putting the price up for FEMPIRE, and I'm putting it up. It's going to go up significantly. And the reason for that is I designed FEMPIRE at a super low rate with really good quality content in there, with the idea that it would be like a nominal payment every single month for the same type of, I guess, generosity that I used to show to my free Facebook groups, but encouraging people to pay. And so there wasn't going to be any live trainings. There was a Q&A once a month and like minimal kind of stuff other than that. Really, it's designed for people who are doers. So you don't want to get into a community and get bogged down into the chatter in a community. What you want to do is get in there and learn what you want to be able to learn, plug the gaps in your knowledge with the trainings that are in there in a place of kind of calm and quiet, right? So there's not notifications going off everywhere like there is in a Facebook group. But I now have decided that that one call that I'm doing a month, I'm going to make it a live masterclass, so a teaching moment with a Q&A on the end that can either relate or not to relate to the topic that I'm teaching on that month. And so for me, that just means that I just need to be charging more for that. And I've been running it at $27 a month for a little while now. It's just not growing. And, I wouldn't probably join anything for $27 a month, but I did want to test it. And so there are, a handful of people in there right now that have grandfathered that $27 a month price in. So they're the lucky ducks, and you can do that too if you join before the 1st of December. So I will make it the 1st of December US time. So it will be probably the 2nd of December Australian time. So if you want to be part of FEMPIRE, go ahead. There's a free trial. There's a 1-week free trial, and it will set you up to get in there and have a look at the way that it's set up, to give you an idea of what I'm doing inside of that community. And you can make a decision whether you want to sign up or not. But now's a good time to do it, because if you decide that it is for you, then you get to do that for $27 a month, or you can pay for the entire year. And that fee is locked in for life for you. Anyway, that is it for this week. I will see you next week. In the meantime, just remember that as far as content goes, and feeling like we're pouring content into a void, for me, I am definitely going to go back on my profile. I'm going to start to do a little bit more content on my profile, and I'm going to give it to the rest of the year just to see if it picks up any type of traction whatsoever. And if it doesn't, I'm just going to drop it entirely. But I feel like what Meta is saying is it's got an opportunity to work for us again. So let's all jump in. Let's put our best work out there, and let's see what happens. All right, that is it. I will see you next time.